Okay, so the notes for today are titled The Rules for the Grid. The essential question is, how do I set up calculations with equalities in dimensional analysis? So we're going to walk you nice and slow into this. We're going to start with some real friendly problems. That is math. That's probably stuff you did in like 3rd grade, 5th grade maybe. Because what we are trying to teach you today is a system for solving problems. So we're going to take some real simple equations and we're going to set them up in this dimensional analysis system, okay? And it's going to slow us down initially because it's a lot of work to set the problems up this way. However, as we get further and further into the semester, we're going to be learning bigger and bigger problems. And this system for solving problems is one we use a lot in chemistry because it really helps to simplify the organization of these giant multi-step problems. So we're going to walk you in with just the basic steps today, and then next week we're going to talk about the mole, and we're going to put some chemistry into it. So we're just going to use some real basic math today so that we can kind of look at how to set up a dimensional analysis problem. Okay? Dimensional analysis in itself is designed to get from a unit you don't want to a unit you do want. Because remember, in science, our numbers are not numbers, they are measurements. And measurements have precision, so we're going to have sig figs. But they also have a unit. You have to tell us how you measured something. Did you measure it in milliliters or liters? Did you measure it in grams or kilograms? It matters. We have to know what the unit is. And sometimes the unit that we have something in is not a unit that we can work with. And so the purpose of dimensional analysis is to help us get from the unit we don't want that we have to the unit that we do want that we don't have, okay? Now, I have simplified the algebra of this down to some basic rules. We're gonna learn the first 3 of these rules today, and then next week we will add 2 more rules when we start learning about the mole, okay? So on page 25, and you can do these nice and big. This is just 5 rules. I had kids in class use markers to do them nice and big. The rules for the grid are as follows. The given goes top left with units. Rule number 2, top left matches bottom right in units. Rule number 3, any equality can go in any column. So go ahead and pause the video there and make sure you have these rules written down. I will expect you to have them memorized because this is, it doesn't matter if you can't algebra. If you can follow these rules, you can absolutely do these problems. So go ahead and write these rules down so that you can memorize them, and then we'll talk example problems. All right, so on a separate sheet of paper, I'm gonna have you do this example problem, and I'm gonna zoom it in as best I can so you can write it down. It says, the cost of a 4-star hotel in Paris is about 500 euros a night. What is the cost in dollars if $1 equals 0.81 euros? So on a separate sheet of paper, go ahead and copy down the rule or the question, and then let's solve this according to the system. So the first thing I would have you do is to circle and label your given. Your given is always going to be the number that they give you with its unit. So the number they've given us is 500 euros. So we're going to circle that, and we're going to label it the given. The second thing I would ask you to do is to circle and label the unknown, okay? And the unknown is going to be the unit they are asking you to find, okay? So it's going to be in the question. So you find the question, and you read the question. It says, what is that cost in dollars? That's my unknown. That's the unit they want me to find. So let's circle and label dollars as our unknown. Okay? Step 3 is an equality or multiple equalities that relate the given unit and the unknown unit. So we need an equality that relates euros and dollars. They've very nicely given us that $1 is equal to 0.81 euros. So we're going to write that equality down. Now, they've been very nice in this problem, and they have told us exactly as an equality that it is an equality. Not all equalities are that straightforward. They don't always have an equal sign in them. For example, I could say that the cost of gas is $2.50 per gallon. That is an equality because $2.50 is equal to 1 gallon of gas. So, but that's not how they would write it. They would write it as $2.50 per gallon. So you might have to really be watching for those equalities because they might be sneaky hidden a little bit. Okay, so we're gonna draw us a grid. The grid looks like this. Now, really important, this can go on and on and on for as many steps of the problem as we have. I'm gonna start us off on a simple one-step problem today. All right, so rule number 1 for the grid was that the given goes top left with units. So I'm gonna take this given and I'm gonna put it in the top left box of my grid. Okay. Rule number 2 is that top left matches bottom right in units, just the units. So I'm gonna take the units from this number, which was euros, and I'm gonna put it down here in the bottom right. Okay. Step 3 is that any equality can go in any column. An equality is anything that is this equal to this equal to this. That's an equality. A column is one spot on the grid, up and down. Columns are up and down. This is a column of the grid. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this equality that takes me dollars to euros, euros to dollars, and I'm going to put it into this column. But I know when I do that the euros has to be on bottom so that it matches top left. Okay? So in my equality, euros has the number 0.81 next to it. So I'm going to put the number 0.81 next to euros in my column. In the equality, across from that euros is $1. So in my column, across from 0.81 euros, I'm going to put $1. Okay? And now we're going to pause for a little algebra conversation, because it's important that you understand the algebra that's involved in this. If I have 1 over 1, not a 1, 1 over 1, that's equal to 1. 2 over 2, that's equal to 1. 3 over 3, that's equal to 1. X over x, not x, 1. Okay? This is a mathematical principle that states that any number divided by itself is always equal to 1. Now remember, the whole point of dimensional analysis is to get rid of units we don't want and obtain the units we do want. So we're going to use this mathematical principle with our units. Euros divided by euros is equal to 1. And 1 is not going to change the value of anything. And so when I have something that matches on the top and the bottom of a fraction, I can cancel it out because it's equal to 1. So now this is when I tell you that the grid over here, this thing we've set up, is really just a giant fraction. And in my giant fraction, I have euros divided by euros. And since that's equal to 1, we can cancel those out. That leaves us with dollars as our unit. They asked us to go from euros to dollars. That is what I have done. I have gotten rid of euros and I have obtained dollars. So I know I've done this right. So then we simply solve this fraction. So we're going to take 500 times 1, and that's going to give us 500, and the unit we have left up there is dollars. Across the bottom, this number, we didn't actually put anything in this box. We're going to always assume that it is a 1. In chemistry, it is always a 1. When you take physics next year, they like to put numbers in this box. We don't typically put numbers in that box, so we just assume it's a 1. Okay? So 1 times 0.81 would just be 0.81. So then, if you put this in your calculator, we have 500 divided by 0.81. This is going to give us 617.283956. And the unit we had left over was Now the question remains, can I leave my number like that? And the answer is no. Because remember, this isn't a number, this is a measurement. We are measuring how much money this is, okay? So we're gonna have to round to sig figs. So let's go back to our original number. How many sig figs is in this number? These are trailing zeros with no decimals, so only the 5 counts. So that's just 1 sig fig. So our answer can actually only have 1 sig fig. So starting at the left, we have 1 sig fig here. The number after that is less than 5, so we can dump all of this, and it becomes 600. Don't forget to put in your zeros as placeholders. And then our unit dollars comes down. Okay. So those are the steps for solving a problem in the grid. Circle and label the given, circle and label the unknown, write out your equality or equalities. Sometimes you will need more than one. The given goes top left with units, top left matches bottom right in units. Put the equality into the column, cancel out units that cancel, solve, round to sig figs, and put a unit on it. All right? So for the homework assignment, there is a separate video because the homework assignment has 2-step equations in it. And so on the homework assignment, there's a separate video that goes with the first problem. And I will actually work through the first problem with you because it is a 2-step problem. So go ahead and work on that assignment, please.